Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are still speaking about the Sinai Liberation Day, and to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have with us over the phone Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning. Happy Sinai Day.
Happy Sinai Liberation Day. Well, actually, Your Excellency, Ambassador Bayoumi, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi this morning have put a wreath of flowers on the grave of the unknown soldier, and also on the grave of the late President Mohammed Anwar Sadat, marking the 41st Sinai Liberation Day. What would you say in this memory?
This is the day of every Egyptian in my generation, whether in the battle, and I am proud to say that I lost my cousin Hamdi al-Bayoumi in the tank battle on the 10th of October, that was 14th of Ramadan. And on the diplomatic battle also, it was not less than the military one. We made all our efforts in order to prove that this is a dear piece of our country. It is where, it is a sacred place also, it's not only history, it is where Prophet Mosai received the Ten Commandments. He was the only one in our earth who talked to God, where it is mentioned in the Quran. So it's not any hidden thing. We proved that Sinai, all Sinai especially, is a piece, the dear piece of Taba. It is something like 300 meters, but 1 centimeter, like President Sadat said, yes, is dear to us as any treasure of our country.
Yes, that's
and
true.
Really,
yes.
Yeah.
That's true, Your Excellency. The armed forces, the Egyptian armed forces, were keen even about the 300 meters you've just mentioned, Taba, of course. They would never let out any point of our home land. So what was the role of diplomacy in that period?
It's totally the role of diplomacy. Taba is diplomatic negotiations. We did all our best. I have seen Dr. Mufid Shihab, one of the team who dealt with this matter. He came to us, I was in Germany, to find some proofs in the German archive. They went to England, they went to Turkey. Every possibility we have explored to prove the property of Taba especially. And after all, I said it is 300 meters, but it is a part of Egypt. We never gave up any part of Egypt in our history. And of course, our national security doesn't start at Taba or Rafah. Our national security started at Damascus, when our king Ahmos went to fight the Hyksos there. So it is a very close border of our country, and we are proud of it. We are proud of the results. This is also another lesson that the international community, the international system, United Nations and the international courts for justice, all of them, they were up to our level and up to our dream, and they gave us a good result that Taba is Egyptian. Just I want to tell our new generation that Sinai is a part of Egypt, and it's not small. It is 66,000 kilometers, while our enemy, or Israel, it's only 1/3 of this property. So Sinai is not a small thing. Sinai is a good portion of Egypt, and we now, as we well see, that we are going to develop Sinai by all means, because Sinai needs peace in order to explore all its economic possibilities. And here we are making the third story of success. The first was military, second was the diplomatic negotiations. Now it is the development and the economic
Yes,
effect.
it was diplomatic negotiations, and also Egypt went to the International Court.
Yes,
Yes.
of course, and this
Yeah.
is what I mentioned, that the
Yes.
international system supported us, and this also a lesson to those who cannot or do not have the right or the way to fight the battle. They can come to the International Court or to the United Nations General Assembly and put their cause. This is what we are doing exactly concerning what we are still fighting for Palestine and its relations, for Jerusalem, because we shall never give up Jerusalem. All our cases now, it is dealt with through diplomatic ways and the international system,
Yes.
which is really fair enough, and
Yes.
we have to encourage it to continue to be fair and to be just.
Yes, Your Excellency Ambassador Bayoumi, also now the Sinai Peninsula is now in Arish, in Rafah, in Sheikh Zayed. We see on the ground developmental projects, huge developmental projects taking place in Sinai. Give us an idea or talk to us about this, please.
Thank God that sometimes we are suffering from some problems, but in the same time, those problems are our way to develop our country and to discover our country. 40 years ago, nobody in Egypt would hear anything about Sinai. After the war, we discovered Sinai quite well because our soldiers and our army went to every single meter in Sinai to discover it. So we discovered Sharm el-Sheikh, which is becoming one of the most important place for conferences. So we made of Sharm el-Sheikh, the famous city of Sinai, a place where 160 leaders of the world came to our last conference concerning environment. We make of Sharm el-Sheikh something very good for tourism. It adds to our income. Rafah or all this north coast of Sinai, it is becoming a place for tourism, name it. And now it is the Suez Canal, and the Suez Canal economic zone, where we are inviting the whole world to come to invest in the Suez Canal zone for the sake of the Egyptian development, for the world development, for the world trade relations also.
Yes, also, could you give us an idea about the kinds of projects that are taking place in Sinai Peninsula? The developmental work ranges from construction work, agriculture, and a number of strategic also projects. So give us an idea about the kinds of projects.
Previously, we were looking to Sinai as the place where the Suez Canal is going through, which is the most important waterway in the whole world, and the revenue from Suez Canal is 10 times if you compare it with Panama or Kiel in Europe or wherever. That was our looking to Sinai and Suez Canal. But now we discover the Suez Canal, it is receiving something like 20% of the world trade is passing through Suez Canal. What about the ships? Why don't we establish a ship industry?
Yes.
Why don't we establish an industry to help the ships which need to be manned in some way?
Yes.
Why not we establish places where we supply ships with fuel or with food or whatever the passengers would need? Now we use Suez Canal and Sinai as geographically also, because if you look to the whole map of the world, you will discover that Sinai is exactly in the middle of the whole world.
Yes.
So
that's
the
true.
message here, we are telling the Japanese, which are very far, or the Chinese, why do you produce in your country? And then you take all this distance until you
Yes.
reach Europe, you spend weeks and days.
Yes.
Come
Yes.
and produce in our country, and then you have two privileges.
Yes.
One, you are becoming nearer to your market. Second, that Egypt succeeded to establish several free trade areas with the Arab world. We have the
Yes.
trade with Arabs is free, the trade with Africa is free, and the trade with Europe, the association agreement also.
Yes.
So
I
we are
think.
talking
Yes.
who will produce in Sinai. He will be addressing a market of 2,000 million inhabitants,
Yes.
which is a very good
Yes.
attraction
That's
for
true.
any investor.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Also, thank you for your valuable information, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone. Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, The Breakfast Show. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.